Immersive experiences are high-level marketing, but they are not as new as you might think. Join us today as we discuss stepping into your brand's world on Straight Shot Marketing Podcast.
Welcome to Straight Shot. Marketing is everywhere. It's around your life, from what you eat to what you wear and where you go. It is a vital part of any and all business. Let's discuss the world of marketing and business as it influences everyday life with the staff of Atlanta marketing agency Reformation Productions and guests as they give it to us straight. Get ready. Take aim. Steady. Welcome to Straight Shot.
Welcome, straight shooters. We have a guest with us today, and she has a super cool name. It's fun to say. Her name is Miss Lisa Lacey, and Miss Lisa Lacey is from Joyful Journeys. She owns a local travel agency. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You do have a super fun name to say.
I'm married into that one.
It's Lisa Lacey from Joyful Journeys. I would answer the phone that way all the time. Can I answer the phone that way?
Sure.
I'm sure Zachary would not appreciate that. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Well, I am in Ellijay, Georgia, where I own Joyful Journeys, which is a boutique agency. We're small. We focus on excellent customer service. Our real focus for our travel is with vacations, family vacations, couples vacations, small group vacations. And we recognize that your vacation is very important to you and to your quality of life.
People look forward to it all year long.
That's right. And this year more than ever. But we also recognize that your time and your money are precious, and that you may have a list of needs or wants for your vacation that are different from those of your neighbors. So we try to listen, and we put to our expertise and our connections in the industry to work to plan a vacation that is just delightful and just perfect for you.
That sounds so great. A vacation would be so great right now.
We just went on vacation.
We went on a work vacation, which is a little different. And we're going to talk about it today.
Yes, we actually, during our vacation, we went to Universal Studios.
Well, don't tell everybody yet.
Filmed a bunch of stuff for this episode.
Well, thank you very much for coming all the way out this way to join us today. Your input will certainly be valuable as we discussed immersive experiences. Before I forget, please take a moment to like this episode. And if you haven't yet, please take a moment to subscribe. You can also connect with us on social media. We are on YouTube, Instagram, and the Facebooks. And the podcast is distributed through several podcast apps, including our own. So subscribe within those as well. Anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. That's Pandora, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. Well, now a lot of you might be saying, what? What is an immersive experience? What is it? So, Zachary, let's start there. What is an immersive experience?
Well, there are a lot of different definitions, but for me, it's being able to be present in a fictional or non-physical world. You know, how you would be immersed in another world via a book, you know, your mind's eye kind of takes you there. Well, these immersive experiences are similar, but not in your imagination. This is, you know, physically being in that other world.
Well, that sounds awesome, right?
Yeah.
Well, we are going to explore these from a marketing perspective because most of them are brand related.
Now, before we dive into examples, know that you must have a well-developed brand to do one of these. The brand is the draw. The brand is what makes it possible. Being able to do one of these immersive experiences should be a goal for your brand's success.
Now, we are only going to scratch the surface of this topic today, but to better explain how these experiences are used in marketing, Zachary, I think you are going to need to give some other types of immersive experiences so that we have context for what we're talking about.
Okay, so let's first talk about brand related experiences that aren't really immersive experiences, so that we can kind of see the difference. I call these brand experiences more than immersive experiences, though you are completely immersed in a world created by the brand.
Okay,
I'll explain it.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same as making a way to experience a world that exists outside of your location. It's okay. Just let me give you some examples.
Okay.
The world of Coke.
Right.
Okay, here in Atlanta, Georgia. The World of Coke is like a kid-friendly, entertaining, brand-centric museum. We love it. It's great. But there are no rides, no true immersive experience activities within the World of Coke. But you are surrounded by the brand look and feel, the messaging, and the positioning, the history of the company, and its various marketing efforts throughout the years that they've been in existence. Now, the best part, in my opinion,
In your opinion.
is the tasting room.
Of course.
Where you can sample from all the multitude of Coca-Cola products from all over the planet. It truly is a celebration and a showcase of the impact that this brand has had on our world. It is great for fans of Coca-Cola, but it's not stepping into a world, it's being surrounded by a brand. So that's kind of what makes it different.
Right. And this is a lot like the Harley Museum.
Yes, the Harley Museum is the same way.
We actually did a series, a straight shot series on the Harley brothers and the Harley Davidson motorcycles. And we also took a little company field trip up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and saw the Harley Davidson Museum. And it's very much the same type of thing as World of Coke. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it is. Now, if you want to see, we actually did a video when we were at the Harley Davidson Museum. It's available on our Patreon page and as a bonus feature for those of you that download the app. It's not available as a normal podcast episode, but we do have it. Check it out if you are interested in Harley Davidson and want to see what that museum looks like.
Yeah, because I think there's so much more to the culture of Harley Davidson that maybe could have been more of an immersive experience, but for all intent and purposes, this was a museum celebrating the beginning of how the brand started, just like Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it was a brand-centric history museum where you kind of walk through everything that they made and that sort of thing.
Now back to what you were saying with World of Coca-Cola, we did an entire series on the lessons of Coca-Cola.
Yes, we did one on them as well.
As well, right? So if you like Coke, or if you appreciate their success, look back at all those episodes on our app or our YouTube channel or our website.
Yeah, that was not a bonus feature.
Yeah, that one's
it's
just there.
Straight up a series that we did.
Everybody can enjoy that one.
Yep. So another example of these brand surrounding things is Hershey Park. Now, Hershey Park was created by the chocolate company for their employees, customers, and their local community. Now, it started off as a park, and now it's a full-blown amusement park as opposed to a park. So now it has, roller coasters and water slides.
Is everything made of
rides.
chocolate?
Not everything.
Some things are?
They do have
I've actually never heard of this until today.
Really? You've
never heard of Hershey Park.
Oh, it's in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Well, that's clever.
We'll play some clips so people can see it.
Isn't there a song that says "Down in Hershey Park"? No, that's not.
No, that's not Hershey Park.
Okay, sorry.
You're talking about the Scorpions, and they're talking about Gorky Park.
Oh, right.
Which is not even in this continent.
No, sorry.
But Hershey does have an immersive experience activity within the park, same as you might see at an expo, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it's more of a Hershey-themed amusement park where you're surrounded by the brand, but you're not really stepping into another world. Now, there are a lot of things now that have nothing to do with Hershey at all at this park. It's the theme, but it's everything that's in there is not Hershey. So it's not truly a
totally
immersive experience by our definition. And I'm not sure it truly belongs on this list, but I thought it was worth mentioning because it is, a valiant, self-initiated, proactive effort for the business and for the brand itself. Have you ever planned a trip for Hershey Park or any places like that? I know people go there because of the Hershey brand.
Yes. And they love the fact that they get a little Hershey candy bar on their pillow at night if they stay at the resort.
I'm done.
And,
I'm sold. Let's go.
And visiting the factory and going to the huge Hershey themed stores. So yes, those are often on people's lists. They may, and there's Sesame Street themed parks, and there are even
cool.
Sesame Street, like you're probably familiar with the Sandals brand, the Beaches brand, which is the family arm of that, of Sandals,
Yes, I've
has
heard
a
of
connection
this.
with
I haven't thought of that in a while.
connection with Sesame Street. So you have children that are of that age that thoroughly enjoy getting to meet the
Big Bird.
Big Bird, make cookies with Cookie Monster.
Who doesn't
so
want to
that's
meet Big
another
Bird?
level of of that immersion.
Down at Hershey Park, listening to the winds of change. Okay. Now, that was lovely, by the way. We just duetted. That was very lovely. Now, the next category is not quite an immersive experience either, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, the next, you've heard of or seen, I'm sure, brand-themed restaurants.
Oh, yes. I used to work at one 100 years ago.
Yeah, these are similar to an immersive experience in that you are surrounded by a brand, just like in World of Coke. But again, you're not really stepping into another world. You're being surrounded by, by
Product
a
placement.
brand. Yeah. So once you step into the restaurant, the brand is showcased everywhere in every place that they could think of. Now, an example of one of these, there's a chain of restaurants in Florida. And also in a few other states, I believe. Michigan, Indiana. Anyway, they're called Ford's Garage. So if you live close enough, Michigan, Indiana, or Florida, you can go see one of these. It is a brand-themed restaurant that is centered around, you guessed it, the Ford Motor Company. Now, all of the decor in the restaurant, inside and out, showcases the Ford brand. There's Model Ts outside. There's napkins that are mechanics rags that are held together by a hose clamp. The servers are all wearing, a mechanic's coveralls. They have a funnel tower of jumbo piston onion rings that comes out to you on a funnel. And they also have lots and lots of merch for sale.
Yeah, and it's good eating too. And I must say, the cleanest garage I've ever eaten in.
So it's immersive to an extent, but Ford isn't a world, right?
No.
You're definitely surrounded by the brand, and in and of itself, it's the main attraction to the restaurant.
And it isn't owned by Ford, is it?
No.
Ford licensed the brand to the small business owners. Now, you too could create a brand-themed restaurant. All you need is the ability and the permission to license the brand for your purposes.
That's right. This was a small business owner that decided to do this, approached Ford, and Ford said yes for a slice of the pie.
I would think like Margaritaville's. Some of the Jimmy Buffett themed restaurants,
I think he actually started those, but yeah, now they're franchised.
Yeah, and I think those skirt the edge of being quite immersive in that you're on island time, and they try to really basically give you a world to walk into.
Exactly. Now it's a real world. Kind of. I mean, it's kind of fictional.
It's not the world I live in.
But that is more akin to a brand experience, more than just a Jimmy Buffett brand experience. It's that one's kind of both. So
that one basically skirts the edge of it. So that's pretty cool. Lisa, do you plan entire trips that might include them attending certain restaurants that are brand specific?
We do have the capability of doing that. That's not our real niche, but there have been times when people are very interested in visiting Guy Fieri restaurants, they want to make a trip for Ray Drummond, or someone that they have connected with on the Food Network or on HGTV with Magnolia and Chip and Joanna Gaines. So there is definitely a need for that and a niche for that. Also for just culinary in general, going to Italy and doing wineries and cooking schools and that kind of thing. So yes, those are definitely things that we can do and that we are capable of doing.
Just not a huge demand for it.
Well, that's not our niche.
Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha.
And you will find with our theme park vacations, especially if you're looking at the other side of town where Walt Disney World has so much to offer in the way of character dining, different in Epcot, different cuisines from around the world, and the Food and Wine Festival, which is very popular at Epcot.
Really?
People do plan culinary trips just to eat their way around World Showcase or just to eat their way, try new restaurants every night. So yes, that is part of our vacation planning, but typically for us, it is a matter of being part of the vacation, not the full focus of the vacation as far as the culinary goes.
I like that eat their way around the world.
It's my favorite thing to do at Epcot.
It's funny though, because people that are crazy about food are crazy about food. People that are watching Food Network. You also touched on HGTV. Those like home improvement folks are also pretty diehard. But I know that my best friend is a foodie. And so she would be one of those people that, she knows people that are on the Food Network. She would probably have an entire vacation surrounded by one of these.
Resorts and even cruise lines now are making a connection with those celebrity chefs because that will inspire someone often to, even if they're not planning to spend their full vacation at that resort, they may make a couple of nights there at the resort just to have the opportunity to eat at that particular restaurant or to meet the chef if he happens to be in house.
Good. Now, after these, you have theme festivals and exhibits. Now, these are immersive experiences, but they're not necessarily related to brands. So the Renaissance Festival or Ren Fair, there's lots of these. They take you back into a time of kings and queens and knights and wenches. That is an immersive experience, although it's not brand specific. And they're, taking you back in time, but they're also taking you back into legend and fairy tale and things that don't really exist. But it's all about being put into this world that is not here. I think that's a huge part of the immersive experience is diving into it, paying to be in a world that you can't be in otherwise.
And how many times have you guys ever, I'm assuming, Lisa, you've been to Renaissance Fair. Yes. Right. How many times have we been to a Ren Fair where somebody is waiting on you and they're speaking in a normal accent and it just looks like a teenage kid wearing a corset or wearing a doublet and they're like, what do you need? What do you want? And it's really...
It breaks the experience.
But they take on the personality and the character.
If you get that one who is like, hello, what are you having? And you're like, oh my God, this is so great. But that 50-50 gamble is the difference between a Disney ticket and a Renaissance Fair ticket.
True.
You roll the dice on that one. Yeah. But yeah, and then there's the Highland Games, which is like the Scottish festivals, and there's tons of them. And you can actually go to a festival in the country that they're hosting, which is cool, not just here.
And then you also have places like Williamsburg, Virginia. Now, Williamsburg, Virginia is an old world colonial town where you can kind of step back in history. Have you ever been to Williamsburg?
I have not. I'm an uncultured swine.
Well, it's just like Renfest, where you have all these characters playing different parts. It's the same thing, only it's back in colonial days. When I was in grade school, we went there on a field trip for school, and we got to really see what we were learning about in our books, which is a great use of this type of experience.
It's not so much a commercialized immersive experience, but it's a historical immersive experience. So there are all kinds of things like that. Plus, I think the more we have a huge demand for immersive experiences, but a lot of those are for wanting to go and experience the culture of a different country.
Like if they're going
And
to France, they want
they
the
don't
whole-
want to just visit the Louvre, and they don't want to just go to Normandy, but they want to get out and meet the people. And Cuba was a great example of this.
Really?
When travel was open to Cuba, most of the people that were able to go to visit there were on cultural exchange type programs where they were, meeting the people, seeing what life is like. There are multiple tour companies that really focus on offering those experiences, so that if you go to Machu Picchu, you can not only visit there, but you can also visit a farm. You can see the people. You can eat in someone's home. So those immersive experiences are certainly in demand, even outside of the theme parks.
Yeah, that's being immersed in a culture. And you made me think of something else. People that go on safari.
Correct.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Yeah, my best friend, her favorite trip, they go on a lot of trips. They have no children. And they have disposable income. Bless her heart. Anyway.
I thought those two things go together.
Anyways, but her and her husband go on safari. They go down to South Africa, and they stay on a farm. They stay on a beautiful conservation farm. So there's tons of animals that just roam free that they get to see on a regular basis. They also go outside of the conservation farm, and her husband likes to hunt, so they'll go small game hunting, things like that, legal hunting. They only drink the local wine. They only eat the local food that they catch and that they kill, or the people in their party have killed. And so because they wanted the South African feel, they wanted that, and she fell in love with South Africa, and not fell in love with the touristy side, but the country itself and the people there. It's great. She loves it.
Another example closer to home would be going to a ranch out west for cowboy camp.
Ooh, like a dude ranch
Dude
type
ranch,
of
those kind
no.
of things.
What's the movie? Billy Crystal?
City
City
Slickers.
Slickers.
City Slickers.
Could do a City Slickers reenactment.
I would like our listening/viewing audience to think of Zachary Bennett at a dude ranch
No.
with a pair of Wrangler jeans on, some shit
over-
kickers, and
overalls,
a 10-gallon hat.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say shit kickers?
No.
Okay. Picture Zachary in boots and a cowboy hat. He's no fun.
You can also see immersive museum exhibits like the Van Gogh Live, where you can walk into a famous Van Gogh painting. So what they've done with this is they've kind of made, you've seen the painting, well, they've made it 3D, where you can walk into a room that is the painting. So you are immersed in the canvas, if you will. So it's an immersive experience as well. It's just not, brand related, which is corporate America, what we normally think about.
Right.
With,
It's not
with
commercial
marketing.
at all.
Yeah.
So how can businesses use these examples?
Well, you can create an immersive experience like these from anything. And this could be an attraction to your business, because that's the whole reason that they do it. It's to drive people, bring people to them. Even if it was just a certain time of year, not necessarily all year round. You could have a Harry Potter event or stage a film set in your store for a limited amount of time. Anything that will draw in customers and allow them to immerse themselves in another world for a period of time. It's kind of like when you see around Halloween where you have theme parties, same sort of thing. Have a theme party that's surrounded by a certain brand that will draw people into your store, restaurant, whatever.
Just some ideas to get the brain working. But I would say that they need to be done well. Like very well.
Yeah, you don't want to be known as trash.
Yeah. Otherwise, you get the reputation of having a lame event or staging rather than attracting people, to your business. You want to put a good taste in there.
Yeah, it would basically do the opposite. Instead of making people talk about, hey, have you seen this cool thing over at XYZ store? It would be, oh my God, did you see what they tried to do? It's so bad. And that you don't want.
And
right?
make it relate to your business somehow. Would you agree with that, or do you think that
that's best? Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
if your product or service or something is completely unrelated to this, there's not going to be a good parallel there for customers. They're not going to come in and kind of like understand why
Right.
you're doing this. But if it's a really good connection, the product, the brand, the movie, whatever it is you're doing, then that would be good.
Right. For example, far-fetched example, if you are a blacksmith, you could have a Vikings day, Vikings weekend, because blacksmiths, Vikings, it makes sense, right? If you're a toy store and you have, the new Spider-Man movies coming out, you can have so find things that tie in that you can do.
Please have permission.
Yeah, that's the other thing is you have to make sure that you're not going to be infringing on rights where the owner of these brands is going to want to come after you. Now, most of them, you're selling them too, so most of them will be fine. All right, so next we start to have true immersive experiences for brands, and the most simplest form that has become very common in recent years is called the pop-up experience.
Yeah.
Now, you guys have seen or at least heard of these before. They are temporary events that are based around a specific brand. Often they'll go on tour, pop up in different cities on a promotional tour of sorts for whatever the brand is. Let's talk examples. Stranger Things, the Netflix TV show, promoted season 3 by hosting multiple big budget pop-up experiences around the world. So you bought a ticket to go. So it's not like this is only promotional. It makes revenue too that helps pay for it. So you bought a ticket. You traveled to wherever it was being hosted. In LA, it was in several different locations around the city, so people would go from place to place throughout the week. And once you entered, you could walk into the world of Stranger Things. So you could order ice cream from Chips Ahoy, and you could shop the Starcourt Mall and sit on Winona Ryder's couch, and so many things like that. It was a really cool experience that they built.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time, just from my experience, these pop-ups will be advertised in social media.
Yeah.
So I know that I found out
PR.
about...
A lot of it happens via PR too.
Right. There are all these pop-ups, and they end up coming up with like little ads that you see in your news feed on social media. That's usually how I figured out about these things, because a lot of the times they kind of spring on you.
Yeah.
You don't know they're coming until they're going to hear.
They also encourage people that are participating to use their phones. So they want you to record vlogs.
Want Insta-worthy
they want you to take
pictures.
pictures so that you can then take those and spread word that it exists.
Right. Now, if you are watching us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, straightshot.net, or our app, we are showing video of what these immersive experiences and pop-ups look like, so that you really get an idea of what all these experiences are like, just so you know.
Stranger Things was done particularly well. It's particularly impressive. They co-branded with Coca-Cola and gave out a limited run of New Coke. Now, New Coke, especially if you followed our series on Coca-Cola, is not available anymore. But because the show was set in the 80s, Coca-Cola remade a run of New Coke that they gave out at these pop-up events for Stranger Things. They also had, scavenger hunts and other activities that make that event even more purposeful and active, and it looks great.
Right, and it really adds to that whole other world that you were talking about.
It does. They have the Winona Ryder couch thing, which
Winona Ryder couch.
They I can't remember her character in the show, but in her house and they put the lights all up so that she could talk to her son.
It's iconic. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, they have that whole thing set up where you can go and sit on the couch, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's very cool. Now, another of these pop-ups was from Nickelodeon, where you could actually get slimed.
Yes.
Now, this was great because the generation that watched Nickelodeon when it was new now have children of their own. And as parents, we wanted to share what we loved about our childhood with our children. So people flocked to these pop-up experiences. And in today's age, the internet was filled with vlogs of them sharing their experiences with their children. That one was a huge smash.
Yep. Yep, it was. Another one, the marvelous Mrs. Maisel TV show.
I love that show.
They held a pop-up experience in New York where they brought back the famous Carnegie Deli in all of its 50s glory. Now, you've probably heard of the Carnegie Deli, but it is no more. It has been shut down. Well, they brought it back. So a lot of people wanted to go just because it was the Carnegie Deli, regardless of the show, right? But it only lasted for a few days, so it had a sense of urgency as being a very temporary promo event. And people lined up around the block for it. Even people that, like I said, didn't know about the show, but wanted to experience the famous Carnegie Deli that had been, around for so many years, was famous in its own right, but had been closed many years before. They even had a branded food truck for the people that couldn't get in.
Wow, that's cool.
So very much, a lot of things in play as far as surrounding this, all promoting the marvelous Mrs. Maisel TV show on Netflix. Netflix does a lot of these things. But really, really creative. I thought really, really good.
Well, stepping outside of Netflix for just a second, not that Netflix isn't running the world right now, but there was a TV show that ran the world for a while. The Friends TV show had a pop-up event in New York City.
New York gets a lot of these.
Well, New York has a lot of shows.
Hey, well, Atlanta's making movies.
Atlanta's got a lot of shows now, too. But a lot of Atlanta shows don't necessarily say they're in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Ozark. What? Anyway. Friends TV show, they have a pop-up in New York City where you could walk onto the set of the show, like different sets of the show that had been set up in empty storefronts, right? Mm-hmm. So most of these temporary events were in empty storefronts that were rented for a very temporary amount of time. Right. So it was good for commercial realtors as well. Use their available inventory, even if it was just for a short time. Yeah,
a lot of times they're not building these places that are going to last. They know it's going to be temporary. So contact a realtor. Hey, what spots do you have available? I'll
borrow it for a short amount of time. It helps clear that vacancy.
Yeah. Now there are also pop-up events that host several different brands at the same time, like Candytopia. This event has sculptures and activities that are all made completely out of candy. And it features several different...
Snozberries taste like snozberries.
Several different brands of candy. And, of course, they're all there for sale and whatnot. So it's a super cool thing that is more than one brand. So if you make candy, maybe you could jump on board. I don't know. Now, we can't talk about immersive experiences without talking about the digital platforms and VR technology. Now, there are several virtual reality experiences that are at larger expos. Like there was one that Reebok sponsored for the NHL, National Hockey League, for those of you from the South, where you could actually go into a professional hockey game using this, VR world. So you were stepping into another world, the world of a professional hockey player that you actually could not be in otherwise. And it was sponsored by Reebok, everything in it said Reebok and all of that. So that was a way that a brand got involved in these VR immersive experiences.
Right. Oh, hockey game would be fun to be in. Now, there are also a lot of immersive experiences that are on home units, like the Oculus, where you can go on safari and play with elephants or mountain lions, something like that, using the 360 video and VR technology. A lot of these types of experiences are centered around education or entertainment. You can walk into history and learn things just by being in the experience. I know that a couple of my favorite, 360 VR Oculus videos, if you will, were either the Cirque du Soleil. So it actually puts you in the middle of all the Cirque du Soleil action so that you get up close and see how they do everything.
Yeah, they can be used as a recruitment tool for Cirque du Soleil. Maybe you want to be an acrobat after this.
It's a three-dimensional representation of everything that's going on. You can look to the left, you can look to the right. Oftentimes, you can look behind you and in front of you. And the elephant one, National Geographic is amazing on the VR.
Now, speaking of home experiences, there are also video game sponsorships that happen. Now, video games are not truly immersive either, in that they don't use VR. You're not stepping into the world. But you kind of are. You kind of get lost in the world that you're playing in. Now, it's just a regular TV monitor, but there's these, people get lost in it. If you want to see this, find somebody that's been intently playing a video game for like half an hour and touch them. And they'll jump out of
They
their
look like a hunted animal.
Yeah, because they're in the game, right? So video games are hugely popular, and brands can buy billboards inside of gaming worlds. They can make their own skins or clothing for characters that are in these games, like Fortnite. Nike placed their logo on clothing that the characters wear in Fortnite. So it's Fortnite.
You better not say it wrong, or you're going to have a 9-year-old who's going to have to deal with.
So video games have started to use, product placement very similar to the way that movies have too. So that's another way that brands can kind of get involved in these.
Yeah, speaking of Fortnite, you just made me think of something that I experienced recently. I actually heard some political speeches coming from the other room while my son was playing Fortnite. So even nonprofit organizations are buying sponsorships in these games.
Well, I don't know that I think that's right.
I didn't say it was right. I'm just saying I heard
it. Kids play these games, and using that platform to influence kids as to your own agenda behind the parents' back, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's the parents' job. Now, trying to introduce them to a product is one thing, but trying to convince them to come on over to your way of thinking, that's over the line. Don't put propaganda in my kids' entertainment. But it's also in kids' movies and TV shows. I just think the idea, the concept is wrong. They're not old enough to discern these concepts on their own. That's why they still live with their parents. So
sting. Yeah, but they also have live streaming events in these games with entertainers,
That's
like
cool.
Chance the Rapper and others, where labels are actually promoting their artists.
Yeah, Star Wars created a huge scene inside of Fortnite where they created a battle scene to promote the latest Star Wars movie.
Yeah, that was huge. Lots of people waiting up all hours of the night just to experience that scene in real time.
Yeah, so there's lots of really cool things, but the whole political, nonprofit thing,
it's very, because I think especially in regards to Fortnite and what we're talking about with this political agenda sort of thing, there's varying ages of children that play Fortnite. Generally speaking, they are teenagers and below. Now, I know there are a few grown-ups that are listening that are all about the Fortnites, and that's
we have some
fine.
of them that work here.
We do. No judgment, but it's strange when you have, it's almost subliminal when a character is running through a world and their video game, and as they're passing by video screens, there's something on the video screen. And, they can be hearing it and not see the video screen because they're walking in some other part of the video game.
Yeah.
So it can be quite shady.
Yeah, and I don't care what it is that you're trying to say, whether your point of view is right or wrong. Trying to influence a young kid's mind behind the parent's back is just no.
It's a little crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, these experiences can also be used for retail, immersive experiences. Just like we have examples of, the Reebok thing at the NHL Expo or at festivals or whatever. Smaller events, smaller experiences can be hosted at stores. And then also on the business side of things, there was a company that developed a virtual reality software that could be used for testing retail concepts and store layouts. So what they did is they kind of built a store layout, let people go through virtual reality to see how they would interact with the products in this layout, and then they would test another one, all without having to build stores over and over.
Oh, how efficient is that?
Yeah. So this technology is growing. It's being used in business. It's being used to create immersive experiences that can be used in a myriad of different ways.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yes.
We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, but when we come back, we will talk about the biggest, most known, most funnest types of immersive experiences.
I was so nervous. I had never done anything like this before.
It took courage, stamina.
It was exactly what I've been dreaming of since I was a little girl.
They were exactly what I was looking for.
These aren't couples. They're business owners and customers talking about their journeys and business relationships. The study of relationship building has many parallels in both couples and business. Join Zachary Bennett in his new book, Married to Marketing, where he uses this comparison to walk through the process and commitment of owning a business and building relationships with customers and creating your story. Order Married to Marketing by Zachary Bennett today.
Owning and running a business takes commitment. So much commitment you are married to it. And in that marriage comes responsibilities. If you don't keep her happy, if you don't keep him happy, you won't be in business for long. I tried to make it a quick read for business people. There's a lot of great content, but it's not War and Peace. Your business is a marriage of company and consumer. And in that commitment, you are married to marketing.
Married to Marketing by Zachary Bennett is available on Amazon.com in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Limited edition numbered and signed copies available on bzacharybennett.com or at Zachary Speaking Events. Order now. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Now we are going to discuss the champion of all immersive experiences, theme parks.
Theme parks like Universal Studios and Disney have really become champions of developing these types of experiences, using brands as a way to attract fans. So let's talk about some of them. We went down to Universal Studios in Florida in preparation for this episode. So we'll talk about what we saw. There were lots of different types of experiences at the park. Now, one of the newest ones that they had was a live action experience called the Bourne Stunt Show, brand new.
Oh, Jason Bourne, Bourne Identity.
So it was a 8K laser projection and live play sort of experience. Super cool.
It is virtually hard to unexplainably awesome. Hard to explain. So you know how if your TVs are fancy, they're HD. If they're super fancy, they're 4K. This was 8K.
Yeah.
This was super duper fancy. The graphics on this. So it's kind of like a movie theater that you go and you sit in with your family. Nice climate controlled area.
Yeah.
But there is actually live action happening on the stage in front of you. So it's a cross between like a movie theater and like a play stage, like a theater. And there's live action happening in front of you against a movie screen. And I swear you cannot tell a lot of the times what's real and what's not real.
And this rotating stage, it was super cool. And they also, I mean, they're flying over the top of you in the audience.
They were in the rafters, and the stage itself was curved, so it did give you the illusion. It's not 360. You're not in a circle in the round type of thing, but it did give you kind of the feeling that you could look to the left and to the right of you, and you're in this world.
Yeah. Now it wasn't. It started off. Most of these immersive experiences start in the queue, start in the line. So you walked in, you went through the training facility, and you had a debriefing room, and then they dumped you off in this theater where you experienced this. Now, to me, that kind of breaks the immersive experience part of it, but still super cool.
Oh, it was unbelievable to look at. Beautiful,
Super cool.
Very beautiful.
And then
Even when it experienced a technical difficulty.
Yeah, sure. Then they have 4D rides. Now, I love these. 4D rides, for those of you that don't know what they are, you've heard of 3D, right? Well, these are 4D, which means they also have things like air on your face and water coming from the ceiling, and you can smell things, and so it's just an extra dimension, reality to these immersive experiences. They had one for Transformers, which was super cool. It was kind of a 4D movie mixed in with a roller coaster.
Yeah, thrill ride.
Yeah. Fast and the Furious had one. Mm-hmm. Minions had one.
Don't just skip over the Minions one. And the first time Zachary ever probably remembers going on a 4D ride was
in California.
California Universal Studios. We went on the Minion ride. Now, y'all don't know Zachary like I do. He's not a real Minions fan. He's not like even a Disney animated movie fan. So dragging him on the Minions ride, he was like, fine, whatever. We get in the Minions ride, and this one turns into an 8-year-old just shy of clapping and giggling like a schoolgirl. It was fantastic. They're very fun. You're just sitting in a seat that happens to move a little bit. It doesn't really go anywhere. It just kind of rumbles, vibrates, maybe shakes a little.
It goes in whatever's going on the screen. So if you're going on a hill on the screen, you could actually feel your stomach because your seat is doing the same movement.
Right, but you don't actually leave anywhere.
No.
And if you're going fast, there's a little bit of wind coming at you. If you hit something that has water, like you said,
spray water at you. Yeah.
Super fun. And we went to Universal Studios in Orlando recently. He was very excited to go on the Minion ride again, and I don't think you were disappointed. I think you liked the LA version a little better.
I did.
But he was still giddy as a schoolgirl.
Yeah. But I love these things because they're so creative. It's and so well done.
Fun. They're just fun.
There was also several sections of the park that were coupled with different ride events. Poseidon's Fury, but it's this whole themed, looks like Hercules sort of area of the park. So now the vendor shops that are there have the same theme, and the merch that they're selling there, and then also the rides. They also had one for Simpsons, which was cool. They had a 4D ride.
They did have Moe's Cantina.
Yeah, they did. They had Duff beer was there. So, and then the creme de la creme.
The creme de la creme.
Harry Potter.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Hogsmeade. Hogsmeade. Oh my gosh, that was super fun. So, nerd alert, I am a Harry Potter fan. And although this was all part of our immersive experience research for this podcast, I was stoked to be able to go to see the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And I knew that it was going to be an immersive experience. I knew that it was going to be a lot of fun. But, walking to get to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, I had to go through Poseidon's Fury, like he was talking about. And it's like Greek mythology, and beautiful. And I was not expecting it. So I guess the lesser known immersive experiences were still super awesome.
Sure.
But in Universal Studios, you have the Diagon Alley. Mm-hmm. Then you also have the train, the Hogwarts Express, right, connecting Diagon Alley to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the actual Hogwarts School of Wizardry. It is so awesome. It's totally worth the money. It's great.
And they have these 4D rides within these worlds, these sections of the park.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can you tell me about these types of resorts or theme parks? Cruise companies do it too. They're building these attractions as a way to attract people to their business. What do you think about from the business side, not just the customer side, but the businesses doing that? Do you think it's working for them?
It's definitely working for them. Universal, for example, where you vacationed, with their collaboration with Harry Potter, it truly, in many people's minds, saved Universal, because their attendance increased 30% immediately upon the opening of Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And that with attendance, also revenue goes up. And you're looking at not just people coming into the park, but the immersive experiences that are inside those immersive experiences, which we may talk about later, with food and beverage and merchandising. But the original Wizarding World of Harry Potter that opened in Islands of Adventure with the Hogsmeade theming was so popular, they decided we need to expand this to Universal. They built Hogwarts Express to connect the two parks. And it's kind of interesting to stand on the sideline and inside Wizarding World and watch people come in to that world, and they just are overwhelmed. And it builds not only excitement to get there and a demand to get there, but it also builds those memories that they want to come back and enjoy it again. So it's definitely been, for Wizarding World, has been a definite plus for Universal. And then, of course, those kind of things are happening at Disney, Walt Disney World and Disneyland as well.
Yeah, Disney just got done building their Star Wars experience in both in California and in Florida. And people are saying it's the best experience, immersive experience that's available. I actually haven't been to that one, but I have a friend of mine that was actually on the episode before last that is a Star Wars fanatic. And he actually went to both of them, and he says it's great.
I mean, if Star Wars is your thing.
Well, Star Wars is many people's things.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, Star Wars has been around longer than Harry
Than me.
Potter, back to the 70s. And the just like Harry Potter doesn't really have an age bracket. It's enjoyed by all ages. Star Wars probably is even more that way, because you have so many people who are, have grown up with Star Wars and have been anxious for every movie to come out. And so the Hollywood studios at Walt Disney World, where the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was built, the park has just been transformed by the presence of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and it is now the park that has the largest crowds, the most demand, because of those new experiences.
Yeah. Well, with Harry Potter, you also get co-branding this way, as far as that, the park's going to push it, but Harry Potter pushed it too. We were watching, with Blu-ray discs, you get videos that are from the internet, not just from the disc itself. And we were watching the movie. I think we were sharing it with our son, and he was getting ready to watch it, and all of a sudden we saw this advertisement come on for coming soon, Diagon Alley, and Jennifer and I, not the kid,
My head exploded all over the TV.
thought that's to go there and get to see it, and it was nice.
Yeah, it was absolutely. I mean, I can't speak to the Star Wars Edge of Galaxy's Edge. I don't know. I'm not a Star Wars fan.
We'll forgive you for that.
Thank you for somebody else saying that.
I don't hate Star Wars, but I will say I was very excited about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. That's all I'm going to say about that before we get tons of hate mail.
Well, with Star Wars and Harry Potter's getting to be the same way. Those of us that grew up with Star Wars, I saw. Not Star Wars, but Empire Strikes Back in the theater when it first came out. And those of us that grew up with Star Wars now want to share it with our children. My oldest son is he'll be 18 this year, but he is was indoctrinated into Star Wars early on, and so it's now part of his experience in his life, and he got all the books and all that stuff. So catering to those fans is smart.
Yes. And this may be a little off topic, but I don't think so. Walt Disney's original purpose in building Disneyland was to give families an opportunity to experience recreation and leisure time together. He was used to taking his daughters to a park and watching them ride the carousel, where he was too, adults were not on the carousel. He would sit on the bench and watch. And his goal with building Disneyland was to provide a place where families could experience things all together. So these immersive experiences that are now coming out with, Walt Disney World and Disneyland have always been immersive to a degree, with the theming of Frontierland, for example, and the attractions that are there, the music that's played, the types of food that are served there, the costumes that the cast members wear, but it's taking it a step further, many steps further, with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and over at Universal with Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but there is also a new immersive experience coming soon. It was supposed to open this summer at Disneyland, but with the Marvel connection that Disney now has with, with owning Marvel. Well, it's Marvel's Avengers campus, and it's in California Adventure, and it is going to be a way to immerse yourself into the world of Marvel with a couple of rides. You're already planning your dates, aren't you?
Now, I know that Universal had an agreement with Marvel before Disney bought them.
Correct.
And they are, arguing about that. But now at Universal, because we were just there, it's all comic book Marvel,
yes,
as opposed to movie Marvel.
Yes.
But they're having a little tiff about how long do they get to keep using that brand.
Right. Well, and Universal did have the original contract, and that contract is still in place. But I think I'm not the expert on the contract, but the wording of the contract indicated that as long as Universal wanted to continue and that they kept providing an excellent experience, they could keep that. And they let that go, I believe, for anything west of the Mississippi. So that is the reason that Disneyland, being west of the Mississippi, and now with Disney owning, has the option for building the Avengers, the Avengers and the Marvel land, whereas that's not going to be coming to Walt Disney World anytime soon because of the presence at Universal.
Sure. I think that would be amazing to go into Iron Man's lab. Would be.
You can't touch anything, Zachary. You can't keep anything.
Yeah, you can't keep anything.
Oh, yes. You can always buy things.
Oh, sure. At the end of every ride.
Different.
But that's part of the immersive experience, the merchandising that you can, for example, at Wizarding World, going into Ollivanders and being able to have a wand choose you. That's part of the experience. Right. Who's not going to purchase that wand if it chooses them? Or
at $80 a pop.
They sell millions of them every year.
But you get to walk around Diagon Alley, and they have these little places set up where kids can use the wand,
yes,
and make things happen, which makes them think it's magic.
Yes.
It's all part of the experience. And we all, nerdburger out about it because, speaking of the immersive experience from an adult perspective, I found myself in the middle of, I guess, Diagon Alley, because I think this was when we were at Universal. We weren't at Adventure Park yet, or the
Islands of Adventure.
Yeah,
yes.
The other thing. So I'm standing in the middle of this area, and I am just agape, like at the amount of detail in the sets, in the facing of the buildings, even shops that are not open. Now, we did go during this COVID thing, so not everything was open all the time. But I do still think that there were storefronts that were not really supposed to be open.
Correct.
And the storefronts were just beautifully designed to the detail. And I'm a graphic designer, so I'm looking for the detail. I'm looking for the seams. I'm looking for the edges, just because it's a work hazard.
The window dressings are amazing.
So I absolutely felt immersed. And the funny thing is, we went in July, where it was hotter than the devil's armpit, right? But when you're in that area, you get a feeling of fall, of autumn, of it being cool weather, of it being London or something where it's like overcast. But really, you're boiling from the inside out.
That's because they had snow on top of the
painted
buildings.
Snow. So the immersive experience really hits when you can almost feel your body temperature adjusting to what you see around you. It was very impressive for me.
And these things, from the brand perspective, not from the necessarily just the park's perspective, but now when the Harry Potter world comes out with a new movie, which I hear they're planning to do, J.K. Rowling, right? She's supposed to be doing a new movie that is actually Harry Potter and not this spinoff that they're the Fantastic Beast or whatever, not that one. But because we have taken children there, they are definitely going to want to, experience that movie when it comes out and get all the merchandise. And of course, they were all fighting about the merchandise before we even left. But it's all part of it. It's a win-win for both sides.
Absolutely. And what do you see on your end, Lisa, as far as, talk to us a little bit about your customers wanting to go to locations like Disney World and Universal Studios. Do they often talk about these immersive experiences as being the main attraction and reason that they want to go?
Yes, most definitely. Almost all of our Universal Orlando clients are going for the sole purpose of experiencing Wizarding World. The fact that there are other things to do to round out their day is a plus for them, but they would go to Universal Orlando just to experience Wizarding World. And the same is true at Walt Disney World. We have clients who had, waited until Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opened. They postponed their normal summer vacation until, the date that it was going to open, just so they could be there for opening, or just so they could be some of the first people to experience the land. And part of that too is the social media, bent for being the first of your friends to experience something. But and not only going once, but going multiple times so that they can see all of the details. When you first walk into a land like that, you're just overwhelmed by the grandeur of it and the overall theming. But then as you go back, you start realizing the smaller details that just make you appreciate it more. So definitely,
I could have gone another day just to stare at everything, because I didn't get to ride all the rides in the Wizarding World. I didn't get to see everything. I did get to experience butterbeer. Super amazing, so good.
Yeah. Did you try the butterbeer ice cream? It's also
she tells me that
good.
now.
Put that on your list for next time.
Absolutely. Yes, but absolutely. I could have definitely spent a couple days alone in one area just because there's so much to look at and so much to do. One of the really cool baby immersive experiences was the King Kong ride, because you have to wait in. Okay, first of all, the King Kong ride, you're on basically a tour bus, right? But before you get on the ride, you're in this building where the line is, and you got to go through this line and wait forever. But the building is climate controlled, and everything in it is controlled to where the lighting dims. There's chanting. There's a cannibal witch lady thing that scared the bejeebers out of my 9-year-old. Literally had to leave the line. Scared him to death. He would not go on the ride because of the little witch.
Because of the experience in the line.
Yes. The queues are as much a part of the experience as anything else. And for those rides and attractions that don't have a whole world, a whole land, like Wizarding World or like Star Wars, where you walk in and you're just overwhelmed by everything around you, the story starts, it's all about telling a story. And then about you becoming part of the story. So as you are in that line, the one thing that I'm thinking of is Expedition Everest at Disney's Animal Kingdom. While you're in the queue, you're walking through the expedition office. You're seeing all of the backpacks and the boots and all of the tools that someone needs to climb Mount Everest. And so they're building that anticipation and also the story from the moment you get into line. And then the actual ride or the culminating experience is just the icing on the cake.
Right.
Absolutely. You're right. It's all about that buildup.
Another great example of an immersive experience is at Disney's Animal Kingdom with Pandora, the Avatar-themed land. It is beautiful. It is amazing. It was the thing to do at Walt Disney World before Star Wars Galaxy's Edge
Sure.
opened and took so much of the attention, but just the attention to detail there with they've just recreated this Avatar land, another world, and the ride. There are a couple of rides, but it's one of my favorite. Avatar Flight of Passage is possibly my favorite ride at all of.
So what I'm
all of
hearing
Walt
is
Disney
that we
World.
need to take another company trip
Correct.
to experience this immersive adventure. That's what I heard. Because I haven't been to Disney. Goodness. Last time I went to Disneyland was in 2003. And the last time I was at Disney World, oh my word, like 2000?
It's time for you to go back.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so expensive.
That's because it's
unbelievably
amazing.
But it's amazing.
Yeah.
I have to say, I have been complaining about prices because I've been trying to get my family to go to Orlando theme park somewhere. I was even entertaining Busch Gardens, things like, a little bit smaller scale. But I tell you, it was so cost prohibitive to go to Disney. And I think to myself, man, how do these people go so many times a year? Well, they get price breaks by maybe getting a season pass or whatever. But ultimately, I have to say, just with Universal alone, it's worth it.
It is.
It really is.
If it weren't worth it, people would not continue.
That's why it's
to
so
go.
busy. How could you spend so much money on a ticket? Well, because it's awesome.
Now, they also not only parks, but they have cruises too, because people
Yes.
love cruises. And Disney has this whole, you could not make me go on a Disney cruise because of all the screaming children that I'm sure are on board.
I will tell you that Disney Cruise Line is not just for children. Again, here's another example. But Disney Cruise Line is different from some of the other cruise line immersive experiences is in that, Disney is all about entertainment. So they have infused their whole cruise experience with the Disney magic and with that Disney entertainment. The shows that you see in the evenings on other cruise lines are, they may have fabulous singers and dancers that are doing their show productions. They bring in wonderful magicians, illusionists, entertainers. But with Disney, when you go to the show in the evening, it is a Disney production, and it is like going to the Fox Theater here in Georgia or to Broadway
High caliber.
to see a Broadway caliber production. And it's their intellectual property. So they are able to produce that, and they have such deep wells of entertainment, goodness to pull from that they're able to just
There's just
to
no limits
immerse
what they
you,
can
right?
do.
But then you also have the character meet and greets that are on the cruise, where if you have a child that is very much into princesses, they have an opportunity to meet those princesses with a much shorter line than you might have at Walt Disney World. But if you have an adult who loves,
Tinkerbell, let's just say it.
yeah,
Let's say you have
Tinkerbell,
let's just happen to see, I'm pointing at myself.
or yes, but you have all kinds of experiences that are available. You might see Jack Sparrow on the beach at Castaway
That would be
is
amazing.
So it's not all about children, but then they do have.
But is it Johnny Depp? That makes a difference.
It's awfully close.
I'll take it.
It's awfully close. But there are adult-only areas of the ship where they have great nightclubs and areas for adults while their children are being entertained fabulously and very well taken care of in the kids' clubs. So it's just immersive from the moment you walk onto the ship until the time that you get off of the ship.
You think about it, most of these places are centered around collecting different brands together. And Disney World started the same thing. You had, the Cinderella area, the Mickey Mouse area, you had the Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, that sort of thing. But now Disney as a whole
Yeah, their catalog
is
has
its
grown.
own thing.
Yes.
So
Gosh, what isn't Disney?
yeah.
Are there like horror movies that are Disney movies now? I don't know.
They don't fall under the Disney name, but under one of the other brands, yes.
I kind of feel like Disney owns everything. I might be thinking
They're
of
good
Google.
there.
I don't know. Does Disney own Google? Does Google own Disney? Something's happening
ABC.
there. Oh my gosh. It's all connected.
What are some other ones that you might have had experience with?
Well, just a few, probably not as immersive as the ones that we've been speaking of, but, for example, Viking River Cruises has, whoever came up with their marketing plan
It was me.
it was you,
me.
okay, to advertise and to become a partner with PBS with Downton Abbey should be very well respected at this point, because their connection with Downton Abbey and the popularity of that show, everyone was watching the show. When the commercials came on, they saw Viking River Cruises, and it truly propelled Viking River Cruises, well, river cruising in general, but Viking River Cruises is a household name, whereas there are many other river cruise brands that are equally good or even more luxurious than Viking River Cruises, but that marketing, helped them. And so one of the things that they offer, which appeals to those Downton Abbey fans, is they actually have a post-cruise extension that you can end a cruise from France, go over to England for a couple of days, and you get to visit Highclere Castle, where Downton Abbey was filmed. So that's a level of immersion, I think. Like I said, the Sandals and Beaches brand, with having that connection with the Sesame Street.
Now, amusement parks like Six Flags are different. They have activities that are branded by licensing. They have roller coasters and whatnot that are called, the Batman ride or the Superman ride or whatever they license. But they aren't immersive experiences. They're themed.
Which is fun.
They're
parks.
themed, but you're not going into a world. You're riding on something that they've decided to try to make look like Batman.
Anyways, Zachary, we've come to this part of the show. What is today's straight shot?
Well, immersive experiences are cool.
That's the straight shot? Of course
They
they are.
are entertaining and they are attractive to customers.
Yes.
However, if you want to be able to have one of these, you have to have a well-developed, well-established, successful brand. Now, if you do, that brand has value. That brand will attract people to almost anything. Immersive experiences are a marketing tool, and they have lots of benefits for companies. But you don't have to be a global or even a national brand. You could be a local brand and still use this marketing tool in your location, in your local marketplace. What you have to be is successful and have a well-developed brand. Then you could do it on the smaller side. The prerequisite is being successful, having a good reputation in your community and with your fans, your customers, and having a well-established brand. Now, what if you don't? If you don't have a well-established brand, or even if you do, but you're not overly successful, if that's not you, well, you can still use immersive experience to bring customers to your business. You just need to use someone else's brand. There is enough swag and costume and toys available that you could build a temporary Pokemon themed experience or Dracula themed experience to attract customers to your shop, store, or restaurant. So it does depend on your business. It depends on your audience as to what will work. But the main thing here is that you have to think creatively. You have to think out of the box, or hire someone else like an agency to think about it for you and develop an out-of-the-box marketing strategy for your business. But these things can be done even at the local level. We talked about a bunch of really big ones. The important thing, guys, is this is just a tool. It's a tool that you have to be have a successful brand or borrow a successful brand to use, but it can be done.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I mean, it helps to have a little bit of help because we need to pull this thing off and we need to pull it off correctly. So it might behoove you to hire an agency or an event planner to get all the details right. Also, if you're already in the middle of running your business, it might not be something you have the time to dedicate towards yourself. So you might want to look to an agency or event planning thing. And as luck would have it, Reformation Productions is such an agency.
We actually built, for Napa, we built a NASCAR type event for children. It was for children. It was for an event at the Boy Scouts, and we built this race car event. You see cars, Napa makes sense, right? And so so we made this this event where you race go-karts. What are they called? The Cubmobiles is what we called them. We made these race lanes, and you went through a pit crew, and you came all anyway. It was a great experience tying the NASCAR world into something that children could participate in and become future Napa customers.
Yeah, we had a little pit
and
crew challenge thing as well, which allowed children to actually change a tire.
Yeah.
Life skills, people.
Yep.
I encouraged all the teenagers that I came into contact with to do it as well, because nobody knows how to change a tire.
All
these days.
sponsored by the Napa brand and all of that. All NASCAR themed.
Yeah, but it played very nicely into the company and what they do, and the service and products that they provide. So make sure that it makes sense for your business. And like I said, if you need to, give us a call. We'll be able to help you out. So I guess that's our today's show, guys. That's it. I hope you've enjoyed our discussion on using immersive experiences for your business and your brand. Maybe it's gotten your wheels a-turning, thinking of ideas, things you might be able to do to promote your business either today or in the future. I don't know when you're listening to this podcast. Right now it's August here, but that means that we are vastly approaching some cool holidays, which will allow you...
Winter Wonderland themed things.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't even going that
Frozen.
far. I was going like harvest, man. Yeah, why you gotta jump over the Halloween and the Thanksgiving? But yes, we've got Christmas, and we got Thanksgiving, we got Halloween. Just to get you started, start with the holidays.
And if you're concerned, because I know we talked about licensing, and if you're worried about another brand, there's a lot of brands that are public domain. Dracula is public domain. Frosty the Snowman, public domain. So it doesn't have to be, Frozen.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's public domain. It's a money monster, that one is. But does your company have something to do with shaved ice? Can you do something Frosty the Snowman? Do you run a blood bank? I don't know. Dracula. All right, I'm stretching it here. I don't really know. Anyway, guys, like I said, that's it for our show today. If you've enjoyed Straight Shot, please remember to like and subscribe. If you have a question about marketing or maybe a topic you would like for us to discuss on a future episode, please email us at info@straightshot.net or call us at 678-825-8086. extension 300. Well, thanks again, Lisa, for joining our show here with us today. Do you work with people that live in the Atlanta area only, or do you also work with people that are looking to come to Atlanta on a vacation or getaway?
Honestly, we don't do a lot of inbound travel.
Nobody wants to come here, huh?
Well, we will book people to come. It's amazing how many people live in Georgia and never have done Atlanta stay where they've visited all of the touristy spots and the historic spots that so we could definitely do that, but primarily our focus is for our clients who live somewhere fairly close
within driving distance
to travel elsewhere. But we do have clients that live all over the United States. We don't, just because we're positioned in North Georgia and a few out in the metro area and even out of state, we can work with anyone that's here in the U.S.
Well, we've got people all excited about everything that we've talked about. How would they get in touch with you?
Yes.
Well, they can visit our website, which is jjourneys.com, spelled JOURNEYS.com, to connect with me. They can send me a message from there, and they can either I or one of the other fantastic vacation designers that work under the umbrella of Joyful Journeys will be happy to help.
Vacation designer. That just sounds good,
I just
doesn't it?
want to go somewhere. Seriously. Sounds amazing.
You want someone to design your vacation.
Yeah. I don't care. They can send me to Des Moines, Iowa. At this point, I don't really care. Just get out of here. Man. Yeah, okay. Anyway, thank you so much
You're welcome.
for coming out.
Thank
and
you for the
visiting with us.
invitation.
Until next time, guys. Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening. If you found this podcast informative, we hope you'll pass along our web address, straightshot.net, to your friends, colleagues, and business associates. And please leave us a positive review on our Facebook page at facebook.com/straightshot.